I think paranoid is choosing to not live your life anymore in order to protect your life. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This week I'm doing a Q&A, which I asked you guys questions over on my Instagram. So if you're not following me on Instagram yet, go ahead and go over there and click follow. But today is just a Q&A, and I'm going to be cleaning my Glock 42 and my Glock 48. Something that I do want to mention really quick before I get into this video is that safety is of the utmost importance when you're cleaning your firearms. So I've already gone through and made sure that my chamber is empty. I've removed the magazine from the guns. I have absolutely no ammunition or loaded magazines in the room with me right now. That part of the cleaning process, you need to make sure that you give that your undivided attention so that you can unload your firearm safely. So I made the choice not to do that on camera so that I could do that as safely and with undivided attention as possible. So let's get started. Okay, so the first question is, what do you recommend for Dryfire? I know that there's lots of options out there. There's laser target systems, and I see a lot of people really liking the Mantis X. I wouldn't mind trying it. I know a lot of people really like it, but where I'm at right now, I just have like little mini USPSA targets in my guest room, and I'll go in there and practice draws and target transitions and stuff in there with just my normal gun, you know, empty with no loaded magazines in the room. I don't feel like this is something I'm super duper great at and I'm not terribly consistent with. So I'm actually going to be taking a class with Tim Herron in about 2 weeks called Train with Purpose. And it's just a one-day course where he's basically going to teach us plenty of things that I have no idea what he's really going to be teaching us, but he's going to be teaching us how to train with purpose. We're going to learn about, you know, tracking performance and things like that. So I'm hoping to get a lot out of that class and kind of start working on Dryfire in new ways. So yeah, let me go ahead and take this apart. Cool. So next question, tactical legging review. So that is coming. That is coming. If you follow, well, I actually asked the girl, which leggings are you asking about specifically? And she asked me about the Athena leggings specifically from Alexo Athletica. And I actually have those leggings and I'm planning on doing a review for them. But if you know Alexo Athletica and their patterns, then you would know that I'm actually wearing their leggings right now. And I have a blue gun on with it. And I've been just kind of testing them out. I have had little mishaps here and there with them, so I'm not totally comfortable carrying a real gun in them. So yeah, I'm kind of making my assessment currently. So I want to do a review on the like concealed carry leggings as well as the Athenas, which have belt loops, here in the next couple weeks. So that's coming. Where can shooters make up time? Draw, push out, follow-up shots, etc. So there are questions that I feel confident answering, you know, when it comes to like concealment and different kinds of holsters and things like that. But when it comes to like shooting and shooting well, I want to be totally honest with you guys. I am absolutely a novice. Like, I'm not a super great shooter. I just want to be. So I'm working on my shooting performance, and I really don't know a whole lot about how to do it well. But when it comes to like making up time, I'm working on making up time in all of those ways. Like, I'm working on making up time on my draw and, you know, from here to here. I think that's what he meant by pushing out. You know, you draw it and then you're here and then pushing out from there. And follow-up shots. I have been working on follow-up shots when we go to the range fairly consistently. So that's something that I would say that I'm actively working on more so than I was, you know, in the past. So yeah, that's not something I'm like, I can really answer super duper well, but that's my answer. Can you practice with a tourniquet and still use it after? Again, not a place that I have a whole lot of knowledge, but the tourniquet that I carry is a cat tourniquet, and that one you can't. Well, I suppose you technically can, but you shouldn't. You like use the tourniquet that you use for training that you also carry. just because it can get stretched out and not work as well. And if you need to use a tourniquet, then you're in big, deep trouble. And you want to have a tourniquet that's going to work as best as it possibly can for you. So yeah, specifically with the cat tourniquet, no, you should have one for training and one for carrying. But there are other tourniquets out there that you actually can train with and carry. So that's not something, again, I have a lot of extensive knowledge in. If you aren't already, go follow Skinny Medic on YouTube. He has a lot of really helpful information when it comes to medical and what you should carry and things of that sort. How long did it take for carrying to become a habit? Easy to do. I don't think that really has a whole lot to do with time. So for me, I started carrying and I carried for maybe a couple weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks. It's been a long time ago now, like over a year ago now that happened. So I may not recollect this very well, but I carried for like 2 weeks or something. And I was standing in line to get groceries and like to check out my groceries. And I was like, I saw this guy in line next to me checking out his groceries, and he seemed just like kind of sketch. And I just like made a mental note in my head, like he sets off my creep alarm kind of thing. And I thought, what if something happened? Like, what if he pulled a gun on the lady at the register? And I thought, even from this distance, I was maybe a little over 5 yards away from him. And I thought, even from this distance, I don't feel confident that I could make an anatomically significant hit on this person, and also be aware of what was beyond my target, because what was beyond him was the parking lot and like an office between here in the parking lot. So anyways, that scared me, and I stopped carrying for a couple weeks because I was worried that I wasn't a responsible concealed carrier when I realized I don't know that I could really make this shot. So I stopped carrying for a little bit and started going to the range a little bit more, and then I started carrying again. And I would say to like feel totally comfortable, it took me a couple of months. But I think that was months of me also going to the range, at least once a week and dry firing with some regularity. If you go a couple of months and you're carrying, but you're not working with your firearm and getting more comfortable with your firearm, then it's going to take you longer. So I would say the more you work on, your skills and getting comfortable with your handgun, and the more often you carry and all of those things, I think that is what's going to ultimately lead to you feeling more comfortable and prepared, versus just time. So it's not so much a time thing as it is like a quality time thing. Okay, so the next question was, what do you do when you find out last minute that you can't wear your gun? Car safe ? Leave it home ? My thoughts on this, I think some people will probably disagree with. I know a lot of people would say just carry into those places, and I think that there might be some situations where that makes a lot of sense, but that's something that I can't talk about on the internet. Something I would suggest is that you plan ahead as much as you possibly can. So if you kind of plan out your day and you're going somewhere that you absolutely legally you cannot carry a firearm into, I personally tried to plan it so that that's my only thing that I'm doing on that particular trip. So I'll go do all of the things that I need to do, and the places I can go that I can carry, go do all of that, come back to my house, and I will leave my firearm at home and go to that place where I can't carry. It's a whole process, I know. It's like way out of the way, it makes life more difficult, but it is the way that I choose to do it, solely because statistically, my firearm is significantly more likely to be stolen out of my vehicle than it is to be used in a self-defense encounter in that, hour and a bit that I'm going to be out running an errand that I can't carry. So I will leave my firearm at home in those situations. For example, when I go to jiu-jitsu, I leave my firearm at home because I don't want it to get stolen out of my vehicle, and I can't have it on me when I'm in jiu-jitsu, and I certainly don't want it in my backpack or my purse or whatever while I'm, you know, at the gym rolling with other people, because there's people in and out of the gym, and I, you know, wouldn't be able to gain access to it quickly enough anyways if there were to be some sort of attack inside the gym. So, wow, my lighting just changed drastically. Hopefully it's not too dark, you guys. Having a car safe is another option. I think that it would be very unwise to have a car safe in your vehicle that is not, that can be removed from your vehicle. So if you're going to have a car safe, it should be tethered to your vehicle somehow that is difficult for a thief to remove. Whether that is with like a locked cable that's like secured to a very secure part of your vehicle. But as a general rule, I really do like to leave it at home and do a dedicated trip to whatever place that I'm headed where I can't carry. So the next question is, what are your thoughts on the Dene Adams corset holster? I do have some thoughts. If you like watch my videos and you follow me on Instagram, then you probably know or have a general idea of what my general thoughts on this corset holster would be, because I have little to no interest in soft shell holsters for reasons that I have stated in other videos and things, but I'll reiterate that here. Generally, soft shell holsters allow you to access the trigger while your gun is inside the holster. Many of them don't allow consistent or adequate access to your firearm for like a consistent grip and draw. And lastly, a lot of them, if not all of them, don't allow you to holster one-handed or safely on body at all. So that's my issues in general with soft shell holsters. Unfortunately, the Dene Adams corset holster does not seem to be an exception to that at all. I have a couple. I've never used one. I don't own one. I've never had one on me before, so I have to say that. Like, I don't have any personal experience with it, but I do have friends that have them and have been able to kind of show me some of the issues with them. So just kind of gonna talk about it without actually having the product to show you right now. Maybe eventually in the future I'll actually get to review it. But basically, the Dene Adams corset holster, without the added trigger protection, without the added trigger protection, totally allows you to access the trigger with the gun inside the holster. It buries the entire grip into the corset pocket, and because the grip is buried in there, it doesn't allow you consistent access. It also doesn't allow you to holster safely on body. I suppose it can be done, but I think it would take a contortionist to do it safely. So a way that you could potentially make it safe enough is to add a Kydex holster inside of it, but that's still going to remove your ability to get consistent access because the grip is buried. So I've heard a lot of ladies that they feel like it conceals really nicely. And I want to say that I think it conceals nicely for some people because it buries the grip inside of that material. So how we get our firearm to conceal well is, how we get our firearm to conceal well is we get the grip to tuck in nice and close to our bodies. And the Dene Adams holster, or the Dene Adams corset holster, does that by putting fabric over the top of the grip, which again, that causes access issues. So I don't love the idea of it. I think that there are better options out there that solve the same problem, such as the Enigma, which I carry in pretty much every single day and I enjoy using, and I find it to be quite comfortable, and it allows me consistent access and trigger protection, and I get to choose what holster I want to use with it, so long as it has a dark wing, mod wing, or raven wing. So I can get awesome concealment. I get to choose my holster, and yeah, there's just way too many positive sides to the Enigma. I really don't see why we would want to choose something like the Dene Adams Corset holster when there are better options out there. That's my overall opinion there. I think there's better options available, so why not use those? Okay, so the next question is, which Holoson optic do you use, and do you ever practice without? So the Holoson that I have on my Glock 48 is a 507K, and I have also been intrigued by the 407K because I honestly don't use the reticle setting at all on my 507K. So 407K, just as good. I don't know anything about optics though. So I can't really say like, this is the best optic ever. If you want to know about optics, you need to go watch Sage Dynamics. He actually has some really amazing reviews and knows how to tell you whether an optic is good or not. So I enjoy using my optic. And the other question was, do you ever practice without? Most certainly, yes, I do. And that just kind of happens naturally because I also carry my Glock 42 from time to time. I already put oil on this, you guys. I already forgot. Yeah, I also carry my Glock 42 from time to time, and I like to be able to, keep training with it and, making sure that I can still acquire my sights. And one thing I really would like to mention is that I actually feel that I pick up my irons a lot faster and a lot more easily now that after I've worked with my red dot a bunch. I think that I've just gotten better at presenting my sights to alignment from the draw. So I feel like I'm actually better with my irons now. And before I worked with my red dot, I could not keep both eyes open when I was using my irons. And still from time to time, I'll need to squint my left eye, but for the most part, I'd say like 85% of the time I can keep both of my eyes open and acquire my iron sights really well. So yes, I practice with both, and I use the Holoson 507K. How to talk to people who don't want you to own a gun. So I really like this question because, yeah, it comes up a lot, and I have friends that don't love the idea of average everyday citizens owning guns. So yeah, I think this is a really useful question to ask. The first thing I want to say is the absolute worst thing that you could possibly do when trying to talk to somebody about guns and owning guns is to be rude to them or disrespectful. I think you should respect their fears or anxieties. And this question is specifically, how do you talk to people who don't want you to own a gun? First things first, like, that's your right. So like, I'm sorry that they don't want you to own a gun. If it's a family member and they're concerned about your safety and you owning a gun, you might ask them why. Like, you might ask them, like, are you worried about me owning a gun because you're afraid that the gun is going to hurt me, or are you afraid that I'm not safe with my firearm? And if they love you, then they'll be honest and maybe tell you that they're not confident in your ability to safely handle a firearm. And the best thing you can do in that situation is to listen to them and get some training, because I think a very large majority of people out there who own firearms are not responsible gun owners and don't know how to handle their firearms safely, unfortunately. So if there's a concern about your safety because of the way that you're handling your firearm, I think the best thing you can do is listen to that and get some training to, ease their thoughts and yours. But as far as talking to just people in general who don't love the idea of citizens owning firearms, I've found that a lot of that comes from misinformation that they've gotten from bad sources. So I think the best way to address that is to just ask them, like, why don't you want people to own guns? And like, what are your concerns there? And try to address those concerns as practically as possible and as respectfully as possible. The second that you stop respecting them, they won't respect you and the conversation won't go anywhere. So I think respect is the way that you go about talking to people who don't want you or citizens in general owning guns, is respect that person and talk to them like they're human. So I had to go get another gun because this Q&A is going longer than I intended. So this is my husband's everyday carry. He carries a Glock 34 with a Surefire X300, and I don't know if he's going to be happy about me cleaning it or unhappy about me cleaning it, but I'm gonna do it anyways. So you're welcome, babe. So when do you draw the line being paranoid and being safe? So I feel like I have to make some assumptions here as far as like where this question is coming from. When do you draw the line being paranoid, being safe? So I actually really like this question though, because it's a really practical question, and I think it makes a lot of sense to ask it. So I'm excited to answer it. So paranoid. I think that the line is drawn when we stop living life just so that we can carry a firearm. If you're choosing not to, here's a good example. So my husband and I are going to be traveling to California here fairly soon to go watch my husband's sister graduate from college. And we most certainly cannot carry our guns in California. That is a big no-no. And so we're actually not even going to be bringing them. And paranoid would mean I'm not going to go watch this family member, this loved one of mine, graduate from college because I can't have my concealed carry tool with me to protect us. So I'm just not even going to go. I think paranoid is choosing to not live your life anymore in order to protect your life. Does that make sense? Like, it actually doesn't make any sense. Like, choosing to not live your life because you want to protect yourself. So I guess that's where I'd say I would draw the line. If you can't live your life anymore and you're choosing to not spend time with loved ones or do the things that you want to do, travel where you want to travel, just because you can't have your firearm with you, that's where I would draw the line. That's paranoid to me. As far as like, if this question is coming from a place of like paranoid versus being safe. So like some people carry all kinds of things. Like you can take your concealed carry setup so far because at any point, like at any given point, you're making compromises. Because if we were going to be like carrying the most tactically sound setup all the time, we're going to be completely prepared for any situation. I would imagine we would all be walking around with body armor and AR-15s and a ton of ammunition in our vehicles. Like we would be very well prepared, and anything short of that is going to be, making compromises. So I guess I would say being paranoid would be, taking it that far, walking around with body armor on all the time and, looking like tactical 0% gray man situation going on. But as far as like taking it too far, I know people that think that carrying a tourniquet, that is being paranoid. But I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense because we're much more likely to need our medical supplies like at any given moment than our concealed carry weapon. So yeah, being safe versus being paranoid, I think mainly when you choose to stop living your life because you can't have your self-defense tool with you, that's living a paranoid life and really not living life at all. Okay, I must say that my husband's gun is by far the dirtiest out of the 3 that I have cleaned today, but definitely the best lubed. So I'm not gonna pass any judgment here, but it definitely needed a clean. So you're welcome. Thanks for watching today's video, you guys. I hope that this was a fun thing to watch. I hope that I answered some questions that maybe you were wondering, and maybe you just got to know me a little bit more in general and got to see me a little bit less scripted. If today's video is helpful for you at all or you enjoyed watching it, please hit the like button And if you feel like supporting Armed and Styled, please go over to my website and grab a sticker or two, and I'll see you guys next week. I'm sure that has something to, did I put the, wait, okay, we're cool.